to themselves against protectionism and promptly headed off and introduced all sorts of protectionist measures.
Which they all deny. None of them will actually step up and admit to.
So we take it with a pinch of salt, but it's a huge improvement that they managed to even come up with such a detailed document.
And in terms of how President Obama did on the world stage?
Certainly, he was able to rise to the occasion in some respects. We spoke last night about Russia. On the sidelines of this, beyond the financial crisis, he had a major breakthrough in terms of arms control. That's very important, obviously. In terms of the financial crisis, he was clearly able to hold his own. A lot of these leaders didn't want to spend this much money, $1.1 trillion. He was able to get that at the least. The details, not so much. He was not able to make this sort of the stimulative kind of spending he pushed for. But just getting here, getting 20 leaders together is obviously not easy, and he couldn't change the whole world in a couple of days.
Richard, what happened to all those threats from France's president about storming out and about having a global regulator who was going to reach across borders and be able to deal with markets no matter what country they were in?
Well, I might be alone on this, and Ed might not agree with me, but I think buried somewhere in here is the beginnings of a global regulator.
Show me where.
We may not, well, we may not see it this year, we may not see it next year, but they have opened up the idea of there being some form of other regulator across countries, and I think that's going to come
So
back.
is this some sort of new world order, which Gordon Brown kind of alluded to?
That's where President Obama was drawing the line and saying, look,
that concerns a lot of people in the United States.
You can't all of a sudden have a super regulator, even if we're in a desperate crisis now. You can't, according to the U.S., take that and say, okay, all of a sudden there's this super cop who is going to dictate what the U.S. does, what Great Britain does. That ruins the sovereignty of individual nations. You can't just all of a sudden do that, and that's a big sticking point.
Timothy Geithner, who I talked to today, and we're going to show that interview shortly, flatly denied that was going to happen.
I hate to disagree with you, gentlemen, but I believe Section 15 of this communique sort of establishes a new financial stability board.
But what does it say? It replaces what used to be a financial stability group of some kind.
Yeah,
That's been around for 10 years.
Strengthened mandate.
This is all arcane diplomatic language. We'll see if it actually means anything coming down the pike. Ed Henry, thanks very much. Richard Quest, stick around.